I've been having this thought, you know, when you're buried in the afterlife, you actually think of yourself as dead, lying in a box with a lid on. It's silly to be depressed by. I mean, one thinks of it like being alive in a box. One keeps forgetting to take into account the fact that one is dead. Which should make all the difference, shouldn't it? I mean, you never know you're in a box, would you? It'd be just like being asleep in a box. Not that I'd like to sleep in a box. Mind you, not without any air. You'd wake up dead for a start, and then where would you be? Apart from inside a box. That's why I don't think about it. Because you'd be helpless, wouldn't you, stuffed in a box like that? I mean, you'd be in there forever, not even taking into account the fact that you're dead. I mean, especially if you're dead, ask yourself, if I asked you straight off, I'm going to stuff you in this box, would you rather be alive or dead? Naturally, you prefer to be alive, wouldn't you? Life in a box is better than no life at all, I expect. You could lie there thinking, well, at least I'm not dead. In a minute, someone's going to bang on the lid and ask me to come out. Hey, you! What's your name? Come out of there! I wouldn't think about it if I was you. You'll only get depressed. Eternity's a terrible thought, isn't it? I mean, where's it going to end? Two early Christians chanced to meet in heaven. Saul of Tarsus yet, cried one. What are you doing here? Tarsus Schmarsus, replied the other. I'm Paul already. None of you care. I count for nothing. I could remain silent in the fucking face. None of you would come, would you? This one's better. A Christian, a Muslim, and a Jew chanced to meet in a closed carriage. Silverstein, cried the Jew. What are you doing here? Who's your friend? His name is Abdul, replied the Muslim, but he's no friend of mine since he became a convert. I have no control. None at all. Okay. Whatever became of the moment when one first knew about death? There must have been one, a moment in childhood when it first occurred to you that you don't go on forever. It must have been shattering, stamped into one's memory, and yet I can't remember it. It never occurred to me at all. I mean, what does one make of that? We must be born with an intuition of mortality before we know the words for it, before we know there are words. Out we come, bloody and squalling with the knowledge that for all the compasses in the world, there's only one direction, and time is its only measure. A Hindu, a Buddhist, and a lion tamer chanced to meet at a circus in the Indo-Chinese border. You're all taking me for granted! Fuck you all, I won't stand for it! Sorry. Let me tell you a little story, you know, just to get a little bit of context about why. When I was a kid, I used to think that pork chops and karate chops were the same thing. I thought they were both pork chops. And because my grandmother thought it was cute and because they were my favourite, she let me keep thinking it. One day, before I realised fat kids weren't designed to climb trees, I fell out of a tree and bruised the right side of my body. The next day in PE, the teacher noticed the bruises and I was sent to the principal's office. From there, I was sent to another small room with a really nice lady who asked me all kinds of questions about my life at home. I saw no reason to lie. I told her, whenever I feel depressed, my grandmother gives me karate chops. This led to a full-scale investigation, and I was removed from the house for 3 days until they finally found out what really happened. News of this silly little story quickly spread through the school, and I had my first nickname, Pork Chop. To this day, I fucking hate pork chops. But I'm not the only kid that grew up this way. Super. I'm not the only kid that grew up. I'm not the only kid that grew up this way. Surrounded by people who used to say that rhyme about sticks and stones as if broken bones hurt more than the names we got called, and we got called them all. So we grew up believing that no one would fall in love with us, that we'd be lonely forever. So broken heartstrings bled the blues as we tried to empty ourselves so we would feel nothing. Don't tell me that hurts more than a broken bone, that an ingrown life is something surgeons can just cut away, that there's no way for it to metastasize. It does. I was a broken branch. I was a broken branch. A broken branch, grafted onto a different family tree, adopted. But not because my parents opted for a different destiny. I was 3 when I became a mixed drink of 1 part left alone and 2 parts tragedy. Started therapy in 8th grade, had a personality made up of tests and pills, lived like the uphills were mountains and the downhills were cliffs. 4/5 suicidal, a tidal wave of antidepressants and an adolescence of being called Papa. 1 part because of the pills, and 99 parts because of the cruelty. I tried to kill myself in grade 10 when a kid who still had his mum and dad had the audacity to tell me get over it. As if depression is something that can be remedied by any of the contents found in a first aid kit. To this day, I'm a stick of TNT lit from both ends, can describe to you in detail the way the sky bends moments before it's about to fall. And despite an army of friends who'd all call me an inspiration, I remain a conversation piece between people who can't understand. Sometimes being drug-free has less to do with addiction and more to do with sanity. Our lives will only ever continue to be a balancing act. That has less to do with pain and more to do with beauty.